Hello, I'm Karen, Education and Community Officer with Essex Wildlife Trust, and today I've come to my forest school area to think all about maps and navigation. Now, I don't have a map of my forest school area, but today I'm going to have a go at making one using materials and things that I find here in the woodland. Of course, I'm going to make sure that everything that I use has come from the floor, not picking any living things or damaging the woodland in any way. And I'll leave the forest school area how I found it when I've finished. So what do I need to know to start thinking about making a map? Well, the most important thing to start with is to find out where north, south, east and west are, so that I know what my map is pointing the right way. Now, I can use my compass to find that out if you've got one, but there are some clues all around us that will help us work it out too. Okay, so one way to find north is to look at moss growing on the tree. And this oak tree has got a lot of moss growing on it. But to find north, we need to use a little bit of detective work. And moss likes to grow where there's lots of moisture. So when the sun shines on the side of the tree, it tends to be drier. That would be the south side. So there's not so much moss growing on there. If I move around to the north side of the tree, that gets less sunshine, there's moss, lots of moss growing on that side. But there are some other things you have to watch out that might fool you. Down near the ground is usually slightly more damp, so the moss will grow there, whether it's north, south, east or west. And here in this gap in the tree trunk, water will always collect, so that won't tell you where north is either. So ideally you want a straight tree with smooth bark, and the moss will be growing on the north hand side of the tree. So on a sunny day you can use the shadows to help you work out where east and west are. So I've put a stick up right into the ground and I'm going to lay a pebble where the tip of the shadow is falling right now, which is about there. Now, if I leave it for at least 15 minutes, as the sun moves from where it rises in the east to where it sets in the west, the shadow will move round with it. And I'll be able to see from that which way is east, which way is west. Now, I just have to wait. So, come back to look at my stick and I can now see that the end of the shadow is about here. So it's moved from here to here as the sun's moved round. Now if I put a stick between those two, this should roughly be east and west, but I'm going to just double check that with my compass. So I've got north here, east over here, west over there. Pretty much east to west. So when the sun rises in the east, the shadow of the stick will fall that way, towards the west. As the sun's moved around towards the west, behind my stick, it's casting its shadow this way, towards the east. So by looking at the shadows, I've got my east and west. I'm going to start my natural map of my forest school area by finding my compass points. So I've lined the red end of the needle on my compass up with north, so I can put this down on the ground to line up my north, south, east and west on my map. So I know that that direction is north, so I've put one long stick to mark north, one long stick to mark south, and then the same for east and west. So I've got the compass points for my map, and now I need to add some features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk in each of the compass directions, and every 5 steps I'm going to collect something from the floor that shows me what is there on the ground. So walking north from my map, I found a piece of bark at 5 steps, a stick at 10 steps, a bramble leaf at 15 steps, and I was out in the grass by the time I got to 20 steps. Now you can change how many steps you count depending on the size of the area that you're making your map in. If you're in your garden, you might want to do it every 2 steps. Or if you're somewhere big like me in the woodland, you can do more. Now, I've done that for north. I'm going to do exactly the same, but going south. Right, so now I've walked 20 steps in each direction, and I've added something from each place I've stopped to my map. So I know that there's a hawthorn tree to the south of where my map is. Piece of rubbish not far from my map. And over towards the west it gets really shady and there's lots of moss growing. So I'm starting to build up a picture of my forest school area. So I've done north, south, east and west. So now I'm going to start the same in between. So what compass point have I got that's between north and east? It's going to be northeast, so that's the direction I'm going next. And so that's my finished nature map. I know that if I travel south west from my map, I'll find an elder tree, or that if I go too far northwest I will come to a very spiky bush, and I don't want to go any further that way. And just so that I can remember what my map looks like, I can take a picture and take it home with me. So I've had a lot of fun making my natural map here in the Forest School area today. I hope you enjoy making your own map, whether it's in your garden or if you're back at school or out in your local park. Don't forget to share a picture with us of your maps. You can put it in the comments below. Enjoy the rest of your 30 days wild. Stay safe, stay wild.